obviously the show is not at the same level, not even close in my opinion. I would say the original show is like a 9.5 and this show is around a 6, which is obviously not awful. And what I really wanted from this show realistically was just a good enough show that gave me nostalgic feelings. What's up dudes, welcome back by a new video. It's your boy GenNot. Today I want to talk about something I usually don't talk about on the channel, but I'm gonna do it anyways because it's my channel and it's going pretty viral and I've just seen the show. So today I want to talk about the in real life or live action version of Avatar: The Last Airbender that is right now on Netflix and has released a week ago. And I just want to say, first of all, I'm not gonna give any spoilers because I'm not a dick and I hate myself if I would ruin it for someone. And if you've never seen the original material, just go watch it because I still think the original material is really much better than the live action Netflix show. Still, I just want to say that everything I'm gonna say is obviously my opinion, my thoughts, and everyone is gonna have a different opinion and different views on the show. Some people hate it, some people love it, other people think it's really mediocre. Right now it has a 60% score on Rotten Tomatoes, which is not awful, but it's not great. It's kind of mid, it's fresh still, so I would say most people think it's mediocre or average. I think that's like the overall opinion, at least that is the opinion what your boy has seen. So I'm just gonna talk about the show. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about the original show. So the original Last Airbender show, in my opinion, is a masterpiece. I've seen it at least 10 times and that is not even me lying. I've legit seen it around 10 times because Nickelodeon used to be airing that show almost every single day. Sometimes they would just randomly air one episode and not the whole season, which was kind of weird, but this show was an instant hit for Nickelodeon. It's one of the biggest shows of all time, and I think most people that are watching this video right now are pretty familiar with the original show. I've seen it many times. If I legit would be dying and it would be asking me what would you be watching the last days in your life, I probably would say The Last Airbender show, the original Star Wars movies. I think those two things were the things I would choose if I would have an opportunity because it's that good. The entire world building, the music is awesome, the battles, the bending, I can be sucking it off for like hours, but overall it's one of the greatest shows of all time. So having seen me suck off the original material, I don't think I need to explain that I had pretty high expectations for this show. Obviously in my mind I was thinking by myself, this show is never going to be better than the original, it's never going to be at the same level even, and obviously the show is not at the same level, not even close in my opinion. I would say the original show is like a 9.5 and this show is around a 6, which is obviously not awful. And what I really wanted from this show realistically was just a good enough show that gave me nostalgic feelings, and I do think it did a great job in that. Obviously this show is not a masterpiece. I don't think many people really think that, maybe a small amount of people, but most people are gonna be in the mid tier for this show and say it's an average show at best, which I do think is pretty fair in my opinion. And the Rotten Tomatoes score is honestly a good example of an overall opinion on the show. I think it's 60% and the other score is pretty close to what most people think. So now I'm gonna actually talk about the show. I'm not gonna use any spoilers. First of all, something that I really noticed from the get-go was that the costumes, in my opinion, really looked fake. They look too shiny, they look too new, it looks like cosplay. That is something that definitely bothered me. Obviously that is not gonna really ruin the entire Last Airbender experience, but in my opinion I really didn't understand why they would have costumes like they had in the show, because they had a big ass budget for this entire show. I think around 20 million every single episode. episode, so you expect the costumes to be the best they possibly could be. And in my opinion, watching the show, I don't think that the costumes they have in the show is the best they could have done. I think it looks too fake, too shiny, too new, and it was definitely something I noticed from the beginning. Now I'm gonna talk about something else that was pretty noticeable, and that was the entire speed of this show. This show feels like a fast run. It feels really fast. Every single episode is full of a story, because the original show in the first season had 20 episodes and this one has 8 episodes, so they need to really speed up every single episode. It's really a speed run in my opinion, and it did bother me, and I honestly would have hoped that the show, first season at least, had more episodes so they could actually slow down a little, breathe a little, because this entire show feels like a speed run. Another thing that was pretty weird in my opinion is some of the acting feels like AI. Some of it was honestly pretty great. There are some moments in this show that are pretty powerful. I'm not gonna say what it is because I don't want to ruin the entire moment, but there are definitely acting moments in this show that are definitely worth watching, but some of the acting is just really not that good. I'm gonna talk about a couple of characters I liked and some characters I didn't like. So from the start, the character that I liked the most and worked the most for me, and I thought was the most similar to the character in the cartoon, was Zuko. I thought the actor did a really great job of portraying the first season Zuko, because the first season Zuko was a frustrated teenager that was always angry, that was always screaming, and I thought the actor did a really good job portraying it, so I give him a good shout out for that. I thought he was great. Another character I did really enjoy was Iroh. I did really need to learn to accept that this Iroh obviously has a different voice and is a little bit different. The entire show is not a exact remake. They do change up the story a little, so you need to understand that the characters are not gonna be 100% the same as the original material. But I did like Zuko, I did like Iroh. A character I was not so impressed with was Azula. It just didn't work for me. I didn't think the actress really looked like Azula, and I didn't feel like she has the same vibe Azula had in the Last Airbender show. Azula was really smart, evil, and just narcissistic. I don't know how you want to call it, and I didn't feel like the actress did a really good job of portraying that. Another character I did enjoy was Sokka. I did think the actor did really look like him, and I did enjoy the jokes he was making. It reminded me of the cartoon version of him, and all other characters were just okay. I didn't really enjoy Katara. I don't think it was a good performance, and it honestly didn't remind me of the cartoon version. So most characters and acting were alright or mid. Some performances were kinda AI and bad. So I just want to say this entire show is kind of 50-50. Some things really work, other things don't really work, and some things are just in the middle, and that's the same with the acting. Some works, some are kind of in the middle, and some don't work. And I think most of the characters, well, they were pretty alright. So now I want to talk about something else, that's the special effects. I do think this is the same with what I said before, 50-50. Some scenes really looked amazing and great, and you could see that every episode was around 20 million. Other episodes were not that great, and you could see that it was fake looking. So it really depends on the episode and on the scene. I do think the bending overall looked really great, especially the fire bending. I thought it looked pretty beautiful, and overall I didn't think this show was really bad looking or anything, but there are a couple scenes and a couple episodes that in my opinion kind of looked silly and weird, and I do think when you're watching this show you're gonna understand what your boy is talking about. But overall I did think they did a pretty good job, so that is my opinion. I think this entire show is kind of 50-50. I wish they would have made it slower. I wish they would have changed up the costumes, and you know, overall I do think this entire show has potential. If they're gonna make a season 2 or season 3, I do think the actors are gonna be more in the character and are gonna give a better performance. I think overall the show is gonna be much better, but overall I would give this show the same rating as Rotten Tomatoes has, just an overall average average show with some good moments, with some bad moments, but nothing to write a book about. So now I'm gonna take a look at what people think overall about the show, and let's get started. The animation in the original series brought a life to the show that is missing here. If you're new to the Avatar The Last Airbender, this is still entertaining. I think this is overall a pretty good description. It's not at the same level as the original cartoon, but it is entertaining, and me as someone that actually enjoyed the Last Airbender and saw this after watching the original show many years ago, I did think it was enjoyable still. It did give me some nostalgic feelings. Another person is saying you can tell a lot of love and affection went into it, but ultimately it is a slightly less offensive Disney live action remake. So I can even agree with the people that criticize this show, and the criticism is honestly still kinda soft. Nobody's really saying this is horrible, nobody's really saying this is awesome. I think it lies somewhere in between. This obviously is not the same level as the original show, and I do think the creators had a lot of love and affection for the original material, and I do think you can see that there are some powerful moments in this show, and some things do really work, other things don't work, but overall I would give it like a 6 out of 10, maybe a 5 out of 10. It's nothing to write a book about, but if you want to have a fun show to watch and you watched something like The Last Airbender before, you're gonna enjoy this. But having said all of this, what do you think about the show? Leave it in the comment section. Did you enjoy it? Did you think it was good, or did you think it was a disappointment? Leave it all in the comment section. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you all in the next one.